So why don't you tell women something that you wouldn't want the enemy, in this case Satan, to know? Now, I'm not equating women to Satan or demonic spirits entirely, but I will say that just based off of my interactions with women over the past week or two, I've noticed how would you say, an increase of spiritual attacks, and I've had to be far more austere in my focus and everything that I'm doing. And I'm noticing the spiritual dilapidation far more in women over the last couple weeks as well. But I also want to say that this is men's fault for feeding into this. And, we all have to go through certain kinds of stories that we tell ourselves, and we have to learn how to navigate out of those illusions. But we also have to learn how to take responsibility and accountability for the mistakes that we've made. And you do have to, I think you can't really get to a place to where you understand female nature as a man unless you get severely burned in some of your relationships. And I think that's one of the reasons why men will deny the reality, because they don't want to feel that pain. But I also want to start off with saying that this isn't a men versus women. This isn't a bashing on men. This isn't a bashing on women. This is just a analysis of what I perceive to be going on in the collective consciousness and what we can do about it. Now, I want to start off also with a quote from The Art of War. It says, "The army values being victorious. It does not value prolonged warfare. Therefore, a general who understands warfare is the master of fate and ruler of the state's security and endangerment." So why, if this is not a war on men and women, or between men and women, why do I start off with a quote from The Art of War? Well, because men and women are supposed to be complementary to each other. And we're in this together, whether we really like it or not. I think real, feminine, beautiful, fertile women are awesome. They're amazing. They're so pure to be around, the few that I've met in my life. And they're very graceful. And they have a lot of spirit that is just very healing. They have this innate ability to heal just by their presence sometimes. And then the real masculine men that are on a mission, that are determined, that are focused, and those that I've met in my life, it's really a pleasure to meet a brother like that, to see that there are actually men out there that are godly, first of all, and that have high standards for themselves and actually commit to what they say they're going to do. But a lot of the times with women, the reason that I say you don't tell them what you wouldn't want an enemy to know is that if you value being victorious in any endeavor that you are on as a man, you must understand that women can and will use anything you say about your past against you. I don't care how loyal of a woman supposedly this is. I'm not saying you shouldn't be vulnerable to some degree, and I'm definitely not saying you should cry or anything in front of your woman as a man. I don't think that's the case at all because I'm well aware of the hard wiring in females that, and if you just look at the women that have been with MMA fighters, some of the MMA fighters, when they've lost, the woman lost all attraction for the man. And it's because it's that biological need of security and safety. And it's just too powerful. You know, we don't really know what we're dealing with sometimes when it comes to our biology. Like, this is thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon hundreds of thousands of years of DNA programming being hardwired into our human software. And so the guy that can't go out and defeat the snake is not a very good prospect for a mate long term for women. And that's, like, I don't see anything wrong with that, really, off the cuff. But I also know that sometimes as a man, we want to give the women everything that we can. It is as if we are seeing the eternal feminine image before us, and we want to, it's almost like we want to serve it in some way. We want to serve Mother Earth for all intents and purposes. But we have to distinguish the difference between serving and providing and protecting. There's a difference for us men, whereas for women, there's also a difference. Women are to serve and to help the man. And it still baffles me to this day how for so long I was taught that women shouldn't be the helper and the man should enter the woman's world. That is absolutely false. That is absolutely entirely false. As a man, every single time in my past relationships, even in like family relationships or extended family, every time I entered their world as a man to a woman, every time I entered their world, they lost all respect. And so what I've learned is that you have to hold the frame. Now, what exactly does that mean? It took me a long time to realize what holding a frame means as a man. But what it comes down to is you have to learn how to hold the frame of your own mind, and you genuinely have to get to the point to where it is comply or goodbye. Now, how do you get to that point? You have to become competent. If you are not competent, you will not be able to have that kind of say. You also need to be able to learn how to walk away, no matter what. You can walk away in any way, shape, or form at any time if the woman is not doing what you want. And for example, if you just want to talk to this woman and she doesn't want to talk to you, or at least she does, she just wants to have sexual intercourse, and you're looking for a relationship, let's say, that's a more accurate description, I would say. If you're looking for a relationship and she's looking just for sex, you're not compatible. So why the hell would you pursue a woman like that? It doesn't matter how hot she is. It doesn't matter how attractive she is. And yeah, that can be very difficult. That can be very challenging because us men, we're so accustomed to bending our own will for the feminine nature in this society. And it still is just so inaccurate to say that we live in a patriarchy. It's entirely false. Look around. Look around. Who is the only group of people you absolutely cannot judge? It's women. Women and all the alphabet people, right? And there's a quote, I don't remember who it's by, but it says, I think it's Voltaire now that I think about it, but I don't remember who said it. It's that if you want to look to who rules over you, look to who you can't criticize. In our day and age, we are not able to criticize women. Hardly at all. We can't even say that as a man, if you don't like a woman because she's not fit, you're going to be ostracized for that. That's crazy. That's crazy. Especially if you are a physically fit male and you would like a physically fit female. That's wild. That's so wild. But sometimes you have to just cut the grass in order to let the snakes show. And that's sometimes what I do with women in my vetting process. And no, for some of the women out there that have thought about vetting as like going to the vet for my pet, no, that's not what it is. Vetting is making certain decisions to see whether or not somebody is compatible with you. Because why would you invite anybody into your life, just anybody, into your life if they're not going to actually help you build what you want to build? As a man, you have to have a purpose. And it's so hard for men to find a purpose now because we're so distracted with dopamine hits, with corn and dating apps and all entertainment-based YouTube and video games, and just it's just the matrix sucking your life force dry. And you have to have the discipline to let go of it. And it's getting to the point to where I'm not even where I want to be or where I know in my heart that I'm capable of being. And it's just that 90+% of the women and the men out there are just not able to relate with me. And I'm not able to relate with them. And it's not like I hate them for it or they hate me exactly. Well, some do. Some are envious and jealous, but what do you do about that? You just got to carry on. But it's like you have to have some kind of standard and frame. Especially as a man, if you're looking for a woman in a relationship, I don't even recommend spending a dime on her until you know that you're legitimately talking to her and she's legitimately talking to you. If a woman is not actively pursuing you in some way, if she's not trying to get with you, if she's not sending you choosing signals, or she's not trying to make sure she's keeping up her appearance around you, or she's not giving you eye contact when, like, you got to move on, bro. You've got to move on. Because that means that you're not a priority. And in this day and age, women have Instagram, they have Facebook, they have Snapchat, they have the guys at their work, they have the guys at their gym, they have the guys at the grocery store, they have the clerks here, the clerks there, the guy at the coffee shop. All these guys are just waiting for their chance. And that's the average woman. Like, that's the average woman. It's not even anything crazy. So, like, they're not all that. And yet they have all these avenues of attention because we're interconnected on the global scale through digital civilization, essentially. And all you can do as a man is be the best version of yourself. And I'm not saying that if you want to talk to a woman, don't go talk to her. Like, do it, bro. Like, do it for all intents and purposes. Do it. But be intentional and make sure that if you have a boundary, there is a no tolerance policy. Do not even glance her way if she breaks that boundary. And I know that can be difficult because I've failed at doing that in the past, because I tried to set a boundary and she came running back saying all the things that she thought I would want to hear, which I did. But it was more so that I was still healing from just all the grief that I had in my previous relationship, and I tried too quickly to get into a new situation with a woman. And it's almost like women can smell this. You know, they are like sharks in the water. They can smell this stuff. This is another reason why you do not tell women certain things about your past. Go to your brothers for that. If you're having issues, go to the men in your life, because men will understand the man experience far better than any woman could. Just like a woman will understand the woman experience more so than any man. However, women don't know what they want most of the time. And that's where what they say doesn't match their actions. They'll say one thing, but then they'll do another. In fact, I recommend most men, actually any man that is worth his salt will know this already, but I recommend men to not even pay attention to the woman's words. A woman just likes communication. They are communitarians. They just like communication. They don't really care what the context is about a lot of the time. They just like the communication. That's why when you are communicating with a woman, you have to be clear, direct, and to the point. And if it's otherwise on her end, bye. And it sucks because there's not a lot of women that are able to do that now. It's crazy. It's wild how little women seem to actually want to care about men. And it's not like this is their nature. It's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that it's a good thing or a bad thing. You're saying that is what it is. And as a man, you have to accept that. And if you don't, if you can't, it's going to be very, very challenging for you. So stay on semen retention for as long as you need to. Don't play with yourself. Have respect for yourself. Set standards for yourself and for other people around you. Be competent. And keep improving your life in any way you can. And understand that what I'm saying is not a it's not a black hole thing. This is a purely analytical response to the collective consciousness and where we're at in our civilization. And so part of that analytical response is not to discourage you, but it's to encourage you to accept the facts so you don't think about it as a black hole. So with that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful. And until next time, peace be with you.